Today, I'll be moving away from focusing on JetEngine and taking a look at how to use JetFormBuilder alongside PayPal to make a really simple example of a membership-based type website. It is worth noting that even though I'm going to demonstrate the main process using JetFormBuilder, you can still achieve a very similar result with JetEngine and the Forms feature. If you'd like to learn how to enable PayPal inside JetEngine's Forms, there's a link in the description for you right now. But before we start building, let me just quickly introduce myself. My name is Paul C from WP Tuts, and I've teamed up with Crocoblock to create a series of tutorials on using dynamic jet plugins like JetEngine, JetSmart Filters, and today's focus, JetFormBuilder. Okay, let's quickly see what we're going to be working on before we fire up WordPress and get stuck into building our simple membership setup with JetFormBuilder and PayPal. So this is just a really simple example of how the process works. We've got three simple options where people can choose what membership level they want. For example, we'll go for the silver membership because that's what we're going to be creating in this video. So we'll hit buy membership. I'll simply drop my details in, hit register on there for the account, and that will then take me over into PayPal so I can make my payment. So then I can go through the checkout process using PayPal. My account will be set up and activated once the payment is approved, and then I'll have access to the various different features that my user level actually allows. So let me just quickly demonstrate what we'll have access to. So this is the normal site that you'd see if you're not logged in or you don't have access. You can see we've got the relevant different sections, some properties and so on, and this is what everybody would see. But once I've logged in with a paid membership and the correct access, I'll now get access to extra features. Now, for this example, it's really simple. We've added another section in, but you can see there's the featured member properties, and this is only going to be available to anybody that has a paid membership of the relevant level. But you can set this up through anywhere on your site. You can make it as feature-rich as you want based upon all the different levels of membership you may want to set up. Now, the first step in the process is to enable the PayPal feature inside JetFormBuilder. So let's quickly hop over and take a look at doing that right now. So first on the agenda, once you've got everything installed, is to set things up to work with PayPal itself. So what we need to do is head over into JetFormBuilder, come into our settings section, and inside there you can see we've got payment gateways. You need to make sure you enable both these options. This is going to switch it into test mode, which obviously I would recommend you run a test before you go ahead and do any live transactions. And then once you switch this off, you can go to the live transaction side of things. And then what you need to do is drop in your PayPal Gateway API details, which is your client ID and the secret key. Details on where to find this information will be in the description below. So if you've never set this up or you're just not sure where to find this information, it will be in the description. So check that out. Then just hit save and everything is set up ready. Now you can do this globally or you can actually do this on a form by form basis, which is pretty cool. So let me just quickly demonstrate how easy it is to do that. We're going to hop back over into JetFormBuilder and into Forms where I can take a look at any forms I currently have created. I've got one example and we're going to open this up. And inside here, we've got an option on the right-hand side called Gateway Settings. Inside there, we can choose the payment gateway or we can set it to have no payment gateway at all. We've set it to PayPal checkout. Let's hit edit, and inside there you can see the first option is to use the global settings. So I can use the global API and any of the other settings we set up for all of our forms, or I can override that by basically just putting in the information and setting things up inside here. Just wanted to show you that for use cases where you might want to use different details. Now in this step, we'll create and configure the user roles for our membership levels. Now there are plenty of free tools out there that will help you create new user roles in WordPress, or if you're comfortable, you can manually add the relevant code to your functions file. But let's keep things really simple by using a very popular free plugin called User Role Editor. So this is User Role Editor. If you've never used it before, it simply does what its name suggests. It allows you to edit any of the user roles that are part of WordPress or to create your own custom WordPress user roles. For our example, for our membership side of things, we want to create 3 different roles. Now I've already gone ahead and done that, but let me just quickly show you where it is and how you do it. Once you've got the plugin installed, you're going to have a new section underneath users called User Role Editor. Inside there, you're going to have a list of all of the different roles you have, including any new ones that you create. So let me just quickly demonstrate how you create a new role. If we take a look at the top, we've got all the different roles, including my new ones, which is the gold, the silver, and the bronze membership. Now we're going to use these different membership options to link that up and actually control who can see what. And this is why using the user roles is the easiest way and probably one of the most flexible ways you can do this kind of thing. So what we can do is we can duplicate a role and then we can adjust what we want, or we can create one totally from scratch, or we can go back and retrospectively edit one that already exists. So creating a user role is very, very simple. What we need to do is click on Add Role. This allows us then to name it, give it a name that the system is going to use, and if we want to use a starting point from an existing role, we can do that. So let's just put this in, and we're going to say we want to use the name of sample membership. We're going to just put an underscore inside there, and the display name then we're going to do the same thing again. So we're going to just drop in sample membership. And we'll say we're going to make a copy of the bronze member as a starting point. So we'll select that option and we'll say add role. You can see that now creates the role for us. You can see sample membership is up the top. And if we take a look at any of the options we have for what this user role can do, you can see it's duplicated the read, which is exactly the same as we have for our membership setup for our bronze member. That's all we need to do. If you want to edit those capabilities, you can edit them and then just simply hit update. But all we want this particular user to do is be able to read content, nothing else. We can then use the levels that we set up inside here to control what they can see inside our membership setup. Now again, let me just quickly show you where you'll see this option. Now all of this will become clear because I'll show you how everything is set up when we create the form. I just want to make you aware of where these different settings actually go and show up so you can kind of see where I'm going with this. Let's open up again our test membership that I've already created. And if we take a look at the post-submit actions, which is what happens once this form is submitted, we've got the first option, which is to register the user. We'll look at the other two a little later on, but let's just edit this. And you can see one of the things we can do when we're working with setting up our forms with JetFormBuilder is we're going to assign a user role to them. So this is set up to work with the bronze membership. But if we open that up, you can see there's our sample membership, the new one that we created. So we create these user roles, these register users. We can assign those roles to them using these forms that we're going to create. I hope that kind of makes it clear where we're going with this. I just want to sort of point this out at this point so you kind of see the relevance of creating these membership levels. Now, when you take any kind of orders online, you'll also need to have a custom post type to store the basic order details in. Now, if you're not familiar with creating your own custom post types with JetEngine, there's a link in the description to a tutorial to help get you started. So our orders database, our custom post type is really, really simple setup. There's nothing complex about this. If I come into JetEngine and I hop over into my post types, you'll see I've got a new post type called orders. If we open that up, let me just quickly show you exactly what I've set up. Now, you could get more complex inside here if you wanted to, and I would generally recommend you put some more details in. This is just set up just to demonstrate how the process works and how we link this through to our form. So I've created a custom post type, called it orders, and inside there, all I've done is I've set up two simple meta fields. I've got the buyer, which will store the buyer's details, and as you can see, it is literally just a text field, nothing more than that. That's going to store the user's name. And the membership level, which, as its name would suggest, is going to store the membership level for that particular member. If we take a look inside the advanced settings, you can see there's pretty much nothing much set up inside here. I want to exclude it from the search because there's no reason to have this searched on the front end and so on. You can set this up however you want. But I've just basically created a very simple setup that'll store all of my orders. And if we come in and take a look inside there, if there are any orders, they'll be listed inside here. So if I open this up, go and take a look at the orders, you can see this will give me a really basic overview. You can see I've got the buyer's name and I've got the membership level. Simple as that. All these are stored inside here so I can see exactly what's going on, check any of the orders that I want. Pretty cool, nothing complex about it. Now, if you're new to working with JetEngine and creating custom post types, there's a link in the description to videos that'll help you out to get you up to speed with how that side of the process works. It is pretty simple and straightforward, but check that out if you're new to it. So next on the to-do list is to build our registration form ready to set up all of the actions we need to apply to it. So we're ready to create our form for our next membership level. I could duplicate this if I wanted to, but let's start from scratch just so we can see how everything works. So we're going to add a new form in, and we're just going to title this one Silver Membership. Okay, so this is what we start off with, and if you've ever used JetFormBuilder or if you've ever used the form builder inside JetEngine, this is going to be fairly familiar to you. Most of the same options, if not all of the same options, are going to be inside you. Just going to look a little different because we're now working inside Gutenberg. And incidentally, you can actually do pretty much exactly what we're going to do inside JetEngine with a couple of slight differences. But what we've got to start off with is two fields. We've got the hidden field and we've got the text field. So this is just the basic starting point. We also have the submit button. Now, the hidden field, the post ID, you could leave this in there. It's not going to be used in this example because we're not updating or anything. We're creating a new user and also doing some other things. But post ID is mostly used when you want to work with editing, updating something that already exists. So we'll leave that where it is. We're just not going to use it. So the next thing we need to do is go ahead and update this first field. So we don't actually need this to be just a text field. We're going to update this. We're going to select it. We're going to choose the options. And over on the right hand side, we'll have all the different options associated with this. So a text field is perfectly fine. We're just going to change the label to username. The text form field, we're going to set this to user_name. Now, the form field name is what you're going to use to reference things inside working with JetFormBuilder. This is kind of the internal name. The field label is what people are going to see. So you can see if we take a look, username is displayed. The user_name, the form field name, is only used internally. If you want to drop a description in, you can do. It's purely optional. This will just kind of display. So we can say, insert your preferred username here. And you can see that puts it underneath there telling you exactly what to do. In this example, I don't think we need it, but if you need it for a more complicated form, you could do that. Then you have your default value. Now, for the example, with a username, we don't want to have a default value, but you could insert something inside there, or you can actually pull things from a database source. So if you're using something like JetEngine or something, you can see we can pull data from things like posts, users, a URL query, those kinds of things. Again, for this example, we don't need that. We're going to leave it as a blank area. Then you have your field settings. What field type is it? And you can see we can choose between text, email, URL, and so on. Now, this is more a case of just checking to see exactly what data is being put in there that is correct. So if you were having a URL field or an email field, you probably want to set this to be the relevant information in there. The same with passwords and telephone numbers, just so we can do a little error check and to make sure that the right data has been inserted. If you want to set a minimum and maximum length for this example username, you can do that inside here. And you can also set up an input mask if you want to make sure that the particular field that you're working with has a set kind of layout to it. Great if you want to work with phone numbers, credit card details, those kinds of things. And under advanced, if we open that up, you can see we can choose to put a placeholder inside there. So if you wanted to, you could just put in username. And you can see that puts it inside this box. However, it makes no sense because we're putting the label inside there, but you can use it if you want to. And if you're creating a multi-step form for more complex forms, you can use the add previous page button and so on. You can also set the field visibility, so you can choose between people that are logged in, logged out, or for everybody. For this example, because it's something that's going to be a registration, we can leave it for all, or we could, if we wanted to, say it's only for logged out users, in other words, not logged in. So if you're logged in, you can't register again because you're already registered. And then you've got the CSS class name, which just simply allows you to apply a custom CSS class to it, and then if you wanted to target that, to customize it, you could do that. So that's basically all we need to do there. We're just going to recreate now a couple more form entries, and then once we've done that, we can start to build the form out. So to add another one in, all we're going to simply do is click to add something. So we're going to click the plus. We're going to just choose the option for a text field again, and there's our text field. We'll just click to drop that inside there. We'll reposition this because it's in the wrong place. So we'll just pop that underneath our username. And this is now we're going to drop in our email. So the process is pretty much the same with a couple of slight differences, a couple of slight variations. So what we're going to do is, first of all, we're just going to give this a label of email. Underneath, we're just going to put in user_email. And I generally tend to like putting in user_something when you're registering a user or something that applies to it, because if you're looking at these field names later on inside working with JetEngine and so on, it makes it much easier when you can see exactly where it relates to. So post_something, page_something, user_something, just makes the whole process just a little simpler. Again, we're going to leave the field description at the default value. Text field is perfectly fine. And what we're going to do then is we're going to make sure that anybody that uses this is going to put in the right details. So text is not what we want. We want to set this to be an email field, just to make sure that the error check-in now is going to confirm that an email is actually being used inside there. We don't need to worry about anything else on there, so we're going to leave that as it is, and we're just going to add in another form element now, and we're going to use this to deal with the password side of things. So again, we're just going to click plus. We're going to add a text field in. We're going to reposition this in stacking order. we're going to just come over and we're going to change the name of this, and we're just going to call this password. We're just going to call this user underscore password. Field description and everything, we're going to leave that as it is. Change the field type to password so we can confirm and check that. Minimum length, I am going to set a value inside here to 8. So it's going to force anybody that uses a password to use a minimum of 8 characters just to help in a little bit more sort of strength when it comes to the password side of things. But you can set that to whatever you want to. And again, if you want to set an input mask, you can do that inside here. We don't need to worry about placeholders or anything, so that's perfectly fine. And what we're going to do is we're going to just simply select this, and we're going to duplicate it because we want to put in a second field, which is the retype password field, just so people can confirm their password details are correct. So this just helps avoid any problems. So what we're going to do is we're going to come back up and we're going to change this to retype password. We're going to put in user password underscore check, and everything else is perfectly fine inside this. We're going to leave those values as they are. Again, password, minimum length of 8, everything matches up. So you can see it's quite quick and easy to start to put these together. So I'm going to quickly just run through, add a couple more fields in here that we need to put in using sort of first name and surname and so on. And then we're going to take a look at some of the other hidden fields that are going to be useful inside working with this form. Okay, we're going to add in 2 hidden form elements now. So what we're going to do is click the plus option, and from there we're just going to do a search for hidden. And you can see there's our hidden field. So we'll click to add that first field in and reposition it above our submit button. And what we're going to do is just set this now to record the membership level that's applied to this particular user. So we're going to change the from field name, and we're going to put in user underscore membership underscore level. And what we're going to do is we're going to set this to be manual input. And for this example, we're just going to call this silver, which is our silver membership. So that's the hidden field. So that will store that data alongside the user. We can do the same thing again. So we'll add another hidden field in. And this time we're going to use this to store the price for this particular membership. So we'll select it and we'll just pop over. We'll give this a name of price, and default value and everything is perfectly fine. But again, we're going to change this manual input, and we can set the value for this particular membership. So this is going to be $99.99. There we go. And that's the basic elements of our form. So let's just save this draft. And there's a couple of things I want to do. Some of these fields have to have information in. So we're going to set those to be required. So what you need to do is click on it, check the box for required. Same for email, same for password, same for retype password. And we're going to make sure that they put their first name in, even if they don't put their surname in. So we've set those to be required fields. They have to be submitted. And what we're going to do is we're going to change this button. So we're going to select it, and we're going to change this from submit, and we're going to put in register. Makes a little bit more sense. We'll hit save a draft on there. Form actions make up the core of this stage of the process, and we need to add 3 different options in. We'll link our form to PayPal to allow us to take the payment. We'll then link it up to the orders post type we created in step 2 to sort the orders. And finally, we'll add an email action to notify the admin of a new user being registered. Okay, so we now need to go ahead and set things up for our form. Let's come over to the right-hand side and choose JetForm, and inside there are all the different options that we have to make sure that our form does exactly what we want it to do and how it's all going to work. So if we take a quick look, I'm not going to spend too much time on all of these because I don't think we need to. Form settings, you can choose whether you want to have this in column or row layout. You can check what you want to display as your required mark. We're going to drop in the little asterisk, and you can see now anything that's required gets that little symbol. And the submit type, you can do page reload or Ajax. I'll do the Ajax option. And if you're using a multi-step form, you can enable the form progress. Capture settings, if you want to use capture, which would probably be recommended to avoid having too much spam junk coming through, then you can enable this and link this up with the settings you can set inside the JetFormBuilder settings. Gateway settings, you can see this is what we took a look at earlier on. We set up the payment side of things. So what we need to do is check this to work with PayPal. Then we can come in and we can edit this if we want to. Once we've saved things, we also need to create an insert and update post before we can actually do anything with this. So you can't just enable PayPal and expect it to all work. You have to actually put in an action that says that this is going to insert or update some details. So next up, the post submit actions. Now by default, the first thing that comes in there is to send an email, because when you're creating a form, most people are currently probably want to send an email from it. However, we want to change this for the first option. We're going to send an email later, but we're going to set these up in the order that we want these actions to run. So the first thing we want to do is choose the option to register a user. We'll select that option, and that now sets that action up. If we hit the little pencil, we can now go ahead and configure exactly how all of this is going to work. So what this does is this shows us all of the different form elements on the left-hand side, and then we can marry those up with the form names. In other words, if we take a look at user login, we can open that up inside there, and we can choose what we want to pull in. And this is where we've got the various different fields. So user login is going to be username, email is going to be email, password is password, confirm password, retype password, and you can see now why we set up 2 of those fields. First name is going to be first name, surname is going to be surname, and if you used a user URL, you can do that inside there. I'm going to leave that out. We don't need to worry about that too much. Then you've got your user role option, which is when someone makes the sort of registration process and everything completes the way you want it to, what role are they going to be assigned? And again, this is where I showed you how to use the user role editor. All of those are going to be inside here. So we're going to choose the silver member, and that means now that we've married up all the relevant fields, we've set the user role to be the silver membership, and then you've got the user meta details. Now this might seem a little confusing at first, but what we're going to do is just literally link up the user meta fields to the user meta fields that we created inside our form. And to make our lives easier, pretty much the names are all set outside here for us. Now, we don't need to worry about the post ID because we're not updating, we're creating and registering a new user, so there is no post ID. And if you're used to working with WordPress, you know that everything, including users, is basically treated like a post. So what we're going to do is we're going to simply just going to copy these over one at a time and paste those inside there. So I'm going to do that for the key ones that we need. We don't need to worry about password and password check. We just need to put in the right fields that we want to link up. So what we've basically done here is just fill out the relevant details for anything that needs to be stored alongside this user, leaving out, like I say, the username and the password. So with that being done, we can scroll on down and we can see the next set of options we have associated with this. So do we want to log the user in after registration? For ease of use, for a lot of cases, that might be exactly what you want. But if you didn't want to log them in automatically, you could leave that unchecked. And then you can see we've got the add user ID to form data. Well, we're not going to worry about anything to do with that. We're going to leave that, which is basically just saying the registered user's ID will be added to the form data. So it'll pre-fill out any future form data. We don't need to worry about that right now. Then you've got the option to manage any of the message that you have show up when someone creates a new registration, the details that will pop up underneath, whether the passwords don't match, if the username has already been taken and so on. So you can, if you want to, based upon all the different messages that can pop up as part of this form, you can customize these to your own liking. Once you finish though, we're going to simply hit update, and that's the first part. That's our first action created. If you want to come in and edit that, you can come into the post submit actions, hit the pencil next to it, and then you can easily come back in and make any updates or changes to this if you want to change anything at all. So we're going to say we want to log the user in after registration. We'll hit update on there, and I've made a change to it. So next on the agenda is now to go ahead and create the action to insert the details of this order into our order custom post type. So let's add a new action. We're going to change this then from send email, and we're going to choose the option for insert update post. Let's just hit the edit option, and now we can go ahead and set things up. So the first thing you want to do is what post type? What do we want to link this action to? Where are we going to insert or update this data? Choose the option, and we're going to scroll down until we find our orders custom post type, and we'll select that inside there. Then you've got your post status, which doesn't really matter in this example because this is an order that's being stored in the database. So we're going to set this as published because it's not something that we have to worry about posting anyway. Post ID, like we saw when we created the register user, is not relevant in this example, but most of the other options are going to be relevant. So first of all, we've got the username. So what we're going to do is we're going to set this up to be post meta, and this is going to grab the data then from our form. And all we're going to do is copy this user underscore name, which is the name of the field that we want, and we're going to simply paste that inside there. Do the same again, post meta, same again. This is user underscore email. So we're going to drop that inside there. We're not going to store the user, the password, and so on inside there as well. We're going to grab the forename, and again, post meta, and we'll just put in there user forename. And if you want to, you can grab the other options as well. So like post meta for the surname, and we can grab that, copy that, post that inside there. User membership level, again, post meta. And we're going to grab that data because all this information is being stored inside that form and being pulled in and then stored inside the entry inside our orders list. So pretty cool to see how that works. And post meta is the final one, and we're just going to put inside the price. There we go. So that's the first set of options done. All we need to do now is simply click on update, and everything is done. So that second action now to insert or update the orders page is going to go into there. Okay, so now we've done that. Now we've got this insert and update. Let me just quickly save the draft, because when you're working with forms, I would recommend saving quite regularly, because there's a lot of steps involved in this and you don't want anything to happen and accidentally lose the work that you've been working on. So now we've inserted that insert update action, we can now open up the PayPal checkout options and make sure that everything is set up the way we want with this particular form. So what we're going to do is we're going to hit edit on there, and you can see we've got a blank layout. Let me just quickly go through how all of this works. We're going to use the global options. That's going to pull in the relevant information for the client ID and so on. We're going to set the currency code. Now again, if you don't know what currency code to use, there'll be a link in the description that'll take you over to PayPal to explain exactly what you have to put inside there. Now for our example, we're going to be using US dollars, which is USD. Okay, so that's all pretty simple and straightforward, but what are these next set of options and what do they do? Well, this is where you choose what happens in the 3 key stages of this form submission and this payment option. So before the payment is processed, do you want to register this user and insert and update the post, which is the order? On successful payment, do you want to do that? Or on failed payment, do you want to do that? So this is where you just choose where and when different things happen. So do you want to register the user before the payment is even made? In this example, we don't want to. We want to set the insert the new user to be done on successful payment. So they have to complete the payment side of things before that action will complete. The same thing goes, do you want to insert that order in at the same time as a successful payment? Well, we can just choose that option inside there if you want to. So you can just literally come in and set these up as you see fit to make sure that the whole process works in the way that you want it to, whether it's before, on successful payment, or on a failed payment. And then you've got the option to do things like create payment order notification. So insert, update, post type orders, post status, publish. In other words, once this is completed, do you want that order to be created? Well, in this example, yes, we do. So we'll just uncheck that insert, update, post, because we don't really need that there. We're just duplicating the same thing. And then finally, we've got the option for the price amount field. Where do we want to grab the amount information from? So we're going to just open this up and we're going to scroll down and choose our price, which is our hidden field, which contains the price for the silver membership, which in this example was $99.99. Okay, that's all you need to do. There are a couple of other things you can drop in if you want to. And you can see we've got some of the typical sort of JetEngine macros that you can use working inside JetFormBuilder. And you've got the gateway amount, gateway status, and field name. So if you wanted to drop those into the success message or the failed message, you could drop those in just by simply copying those little short codes, those little macros, dropping them in, inserting those into your message for each of those. So other than that, we're going to simply hit update. Now, let me just quickly recap what we've done here. We've set this up to work with the global settings for the client ID and secret key for the payment gateway. We've set the currency code to be working in dollars. We've set that on successful payments, once the payment is completed, the register user process will happen. And then finally, we've got the create payment order. Once everything is completed, that'll create the post inside the orders custom post type to store the details of this particular order, and we've grabbed the field information for price from our custom hidden field inside our form and set that price inside there. Let's update this and let's just save our draft. So we've got a third and final thing that we need to add into the whole process, and that's to just create an email and send that where we need it to go to. So to do that, we're going to simply come down to the new action again. Send email is perfectly fine, and now what we can do is we can come in here, we can edit this and set this up as we want to. So now you can go through and pre-fill out any of the details. So who do you want to mail this to? Well, for this example, we'll say it's going to go to the admin, so they know there's a new user. Who do you want to reply to? You can set this up to be the email form submitted or a custom email address. We'll set that to be email form submitted. And if you want to drop in a reply to email, you can do that and grab that data from your form. Now I'm going to quickly fill out the rest of this form so you don't have to watch me doing it. There's nothing particularly complex on here. It's all pretty self-explanatory. And there we go. Everything is now being pre-filled out. And as you can see, if we take a look at the content at the bottom, the little wrench icon in the corner, that just gives you all of the macros that you can use to customize the email and pull in the data from the form that you have created. So really simple and straightforward how all of that works. We'll hit update on there, and that's basically the key elements for this form side of things done. So all that's left to do now is publish this form, insert it into our page, and test things out. So let's just publish this. That's that side of things done. We can now come back out of here and we can create a page just to test our form side of things out. So let's just do that. Let's add a new page in, and let's just call this silver. And what we'll do is we'll simply come down underneath there and we'll just add in the form element. So we're going to do a search for form. There's our Jet form. Select that from there, and we're going to just choose the form we want to work with, which is our silver membership form, and there's our form inserted into our design. Now obviously this looks a little bit ugly. Let's just test it out, make sure it all works, and then we can make things look a little prettier. So let's go ahead and publish our page, and once that's published we can then test this out. Okay, so I've opened up a completely different browser. Now we're into Safari, so I can test this out, and let's just try this out. Sample, drop in an email, and we'll just put in test email. Password, we'll let that use a strong password on there, and we'll just put in my name. So now what should happen is a case of we'll hit register on you, and this should then take us straight over to PayPal to make our payment. Hit register, and it takes us over into PayPal, and we can now complete our whole payment process side of things. Now once that's completed, you made your payment, you can see we've now got my new user is inside here. We hop over to the orders, we'll see there's the latest order at the top, and if we open this up, we can take a look and you can see my membership level is silver. So all those side of things have been done. So the next thing we're going to do is take a look at how we set up the whole membership side of things. Now we have our simple membership feature set up and some users added, we need to manage exactly what the different levels can see on our website. Now I'll keep this stage pretty minimal as the process is exactly the same no matter what you want to achieve with the membership feature. So let's take this example. I've already opened this up now inside Elementor. This is our home page, and if we scroll through, we're going to have a section towards the bottom that is for featured members only. So you have to have an active membership, and we can set the levels we want inside here. So all I need to do to set this up to be displayed only when certain membership levels are met is to select what I want, which in this case is the entire section. We're going to come over to the advanced option, and we're going to open up dynamic visibility, which is part of the JetEngine plugin, and all we need to do is enable this. Once we've done that, we can now open up and choose what conditions we want to have met to display or to hide things. So you can see we can choose between show or hide. So we're just going to say show this if a condition is met. We'll select that. Then we can set our conditions. Open this up, expand the conditions, and you can see we have lots of different options, and what we're looking for is that we want to work with the user roles. So you can see the user role is or the user role is not. So we can say the user role is, we'll select that option from there, and then we can choose what user roles we want to set this to. And click, and all our user roles are inside there, including the ones we set up right back at the beginning for our custom user roles. So what we're going to do for this example is we're going to say, for this, you need to be at least a silver member. So we select that option, and if we want to add gold in as well, we can do that inside there. So now we just simply set up for this to check the user roles to make sure that this show this element only if you're a gold or silver member. We'll simply hit update on there, and now we can test this out on the front end. So let's go ahead and test this out, make sure everything is working. Now I'm logged in as an administrator. I don't have gold, silver or bronze membership. So if I jump over onto the test site, you can see I'll refresh this to make sure that it is the most up-to-date version. I'll scroll down, there's the normal listing, and you can see it ends without me seeing that special listing section. This time, let's test it out with the account that I just set up. So this gives me silver membership, so I'm simply going to log into the account. We'll log in. If we take a look in the top right hand corner, you see I'm logged in as Paul C, which is the account that I just set up. And if we scroll down with my silver membership, you can see there's my featured member properties, and we've got that custom section inside there, but only because I'm logged in and I'm registered as a silver member user. Now let's just say I wasn't feeling quite so flush this year, and I decided to downgrade my role, my membership down to bronze membership. Let's just change that over to bronze, and I'll simply come in and refresh, update this particular user account. So now I've only got bronze membership. Now jump back over where I'm logged in as that sample account, that Paul C account. So I'm into Safari. You can see there's my account in the corner. Let's refresh this now just so we've updated this to my new user account. So I've no longer got gold or silver membership, and you can see I no longer have access to that section. So creating any kind of membership setup is actually pretty simple and straightforward, and you could get as creative and as comprehensive as you wanted to with a setup like this. You're not limited to just one little section. You can build this inside templates and create a full membership based site. So now you've seen the basic steps to building a simple membership type feature along with connecting PayPal. You should have a good idea of what can be achieved with the tools I've covered today. Now, if you want to learn more about working with Crocoblock's dynamic tools, check out this video next. And if you enjoyed this video and would like to be notified of all the new releases, well, why not click that subscribe button now? As always, all of the applicable links are in the description below. And if you have any comments, questions, or feedback, well, why not pop those in the comment section? My name's Paul C. Until next time, take care.